Yes, sir.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of This Week's Drop. I am Sidney Smith with my brother and co-host.
David Greaves.
It's good, bruh.
What's going on, sir?
Not too much, man. We're going to get into this real quick because we got a few topics we want to cover.
Yes.
I am Sidney Smith. This is This Week's Drop. You can keep up with this and all things me by going ahead and clicking down below. Also, you can go ahead and get tickets for upcoming shows, for my upcoming comedy specials that I'll be dropping. Those tickets will be released very soon by, again, going to that link below. And don't forget to subscribe as well.
Share, like, comment.
All that good stuff. Got a lot of good stuff coming. Dave, what you got going on this summer, sir? With
DavidsMark.com. We got private lessons and some CCW classes for the summer because it's a little hot, but we coming out with a bang. We got a bunch of women's classes set up for September, October, November, December. We're going to close out the year hard and huge. So, email me, davidsmarkaz2020 at Gmail or davidsmark.com, Arizona.
Right. All right. That sounds like a plan. One of the things we didn't do, and I'm not going to stop it right now, is I didn't set the lights up. So we're going to roll with this pod.
Yes, sir.
Just off of sunlight.
Yeah.
And we're going to see what it looks like. We're going to see what
brighten it up.
So I want to go ahead and get into the first thing I did want to talk about. I had a live show this past Sunday at Desert Ridge Improv over there with Alex and the crew, working out some material. And very out of my character, it went sideways for me. I let my temper get the best of me with some audience members and a comedian that would not stop talking during the show. But what happened afterwards was I had some inner thoughts of my own about my career and where I'm at with it and what I wanted to do with it. And talking to you and talking to one of my mentors, TA, and talking to my one of my big brothers in comedy, Warren B. Hall, and talking to my wife, it really was a great echo, a great reminder to me of who I have as my core group around me. And that was one of the things that I took away from it, because I was going to make a I don't want to say rash, because I very seldom do anything rash.
A drastic, we'll say.
It was drastic
change,
a drastic decision. And at the time I would have thought, and I had already been thinking about it. I told you, I've already been thinking about it for a couple of weeks. And for me, I felt like that night of the show, with everything that happened, it seemed like that was the sign that said, yeah, you need to go ahead and do that. Mm-hmm. But again, after going back and having the discussions with you all and multiple discussions with some of you all, it really made me do something else. And it made me think about, and I don't know if you out there, I know you probably have, but I don't know if you out there have ever had those moments that made you sit back and say, man, I really got a good, solid squad around me who think about me and not think about themselves in terms of me. Yeah. If anybody out there can get what I'm saying.
It makes sense, but because it's really hard. And as we mature, we talk about all the time of sometimes people move themselves into different categories of friend, associate, acquaintance, and back and forth. And some people are inner core of all of that. And in life and life's experiences, you figure out when you hit walls, who truly is inner and who's in other realms. And it's important to figure that out before. And I think God does it so that in order for you to go to that next level, that you kind of remove the folks that don't need to be in the inner.
To kind of pick up where we left off at the last show a little bit, when I was talking to TA, one of my mentors, he brought up the story of Job. Yeah. And for people out there who, hell, you don't even have to have gone to church to hear the story of Job. It is just one of those things if you're not involved in the church, if you're not in the Bible,
you've heard about Job.
You still heard, but you have a different outlook on it. You think, man, God did that to one of his dudes. Yeah. He let him just be out there like that, but if you're in the word at all, as Dave would say, then you have a better understanding about the story and why things happen and that back and forth that takes place between Satan and God that kind of put Job into some of the different lanes that he ended up in, and then where he ended up ultimately being.
Yes. And the people around him.
And that's the part.
Yeah. The people around him and how that could have turned the story somewhere different, because there were certain people who were around him that were giving him what we know now as bad info. And if he would have chosen the bad info, then it could have turned totally different. But he decided to stay true to what his was. I also say Joseph is the same way, where we use this example of Joseph went through so many different things. And instead of looking for the bad in it, he found the good in it.
Right.
So in life, when you go through something, the bad is easy to look at. How about we say, you know what? It could be this. It could have been that. You know what? And because of Sunday show, you were able to now go, a whole new lane opened up for you.
It did.
Mentally and just thought process wise, and just how you reignited some things in you.
Yeah. And I don't want to rehash everything that happened on Sunday for people here, because they weren't there and they don't care that much. But I was trying to figure out this part. I will share, because I think we all go through this, where you are in your career and it's going well, but then you feel like you hit a plateau and you're there for at least to you feel like you're on that long time, or you hit a brick wall and you're just trying to figure out what's that next thing. What is that next step? What is it I'm not doing? And then it turned into, for me, and speaking to my mentor TA a couple of weeks ago, was, what is God trying to tell me?
Yes.
Is God telling me that you've done all you can do with this and it's time to do something else? So one of the things that what happened on Sunday did for me was it made me sit down.
Yes.
Because as I was saying to you and to TA as well, is, man, I think why what happened Sunday happened was it forced me to sit down, because I'm always busy, whether I'm actually doing something or thinking about the next thing. My mind is never quiet.
Yes. The quiet time is what I told you.
Yes, that's right. And my wife has said, don't go in the office, don't do anything, just relax today.
This is when the team around you all saying the same thing, but in different ways.
Yeah.
And you be willing to, at a point in your life where you say, I'm gonna take their advice.
Correct.
Because you could have just said, I'm just gonna keep bulldozing.
Correct.
But in the quiet time, he was able to say, son, this is what I need you to do. Clear all of that out. It happened. It's gone. Now. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. It's like a new Energizer battery got put in there.
And that's the part right there, because my frustration, part of it was I'm asking, what is it? Yeah. And I felt like there was nothing coming, but I didn't let my mind be quiet to hear it. And so that happening forced me to go to B, which ended up getting me to C.
Yes.
And having that quiet time, and then be able to say, as you were referring to, having that pop go, oh, that's the idea I was looking for.
He was just waiting for you to just be still, because you were trying to do it. And that's the problem when we're, especially, I don't want to just say men, but for hard chargers or alphas, you know, we always trying to solve it.
Yes.
Trying to figure it out. And a lot of times God is like, just be still. I got this.
That's true, though. That is true.
You just got to be still, so I can tell you, no, make this right.
That is so true, because we are always, and you're probably right with the first grouping, which is just men in general. We're problem solvers. Yeah. But then if you do add in the type A personality side of it, it turns into, wait a minute, I can normally solve these problems. Yeah. 2 + 2 always equals 4.
Yes.
But for some reason it keeps coming to 5.
Yes.
And I can't figure out what this extra digit is at.
And then you're just spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning.
angry.
And then it just explodes. And then, you know, if you're smart, you take the time to go, or you're able to take the time, which is even better, is that, okay, because it could end horribly. And then you don't have the time, or you're doing time, you know, which is for us, a lot of us that's what happened. I didn't have anybody around me to say, bro, take it easy.
That is a huge part of it, because you are right. For a lot of us being Black men, we don't have that father figure, that male figure.
Just
It's and not to take anything away from moms out there doing it, but you guys can't do it all.
No.
You can't be everything to a young man.
No.
Even as much as you try. I had a mother who tried to do it all, and she wasn't able to.
she's not a man. She's not capable of showing me some manly things
Right.
or understanding what I feel like in a certain situation and then explain to me how to deal with it, because she deals with it a different way.
100%. Which is why I always give her credit for what she did do, but also give credit. Like when I got married, all of the men who could make it, and I saw as father figures since I was young, I had them stand up as dads in the wedding.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Because that's what they meant to me. Because I always felt like through each part of my life, God blessed me with another man to take me to the
Funny
next
how
step.
he does stuff like that.
Oh, look,
when you look back, you go, man, God, you really been holding me down the whole time.
I look back. That's why that, and I know it's been used a million times, and we've all seen it a million times. That whole, I can't think of the passage, but where discussed where I was walking, I only saw one set of footsteps.
Yes.
And God says that's because I was carrying you.
Yes.
Well, to me, I think about that often when I talk about these men in my life since I was, a teenager.
Listen,
there's been 5 of them.
they pour in, and some of the stuff that they pour in, you can use now, and some of the stuff you using later. And for me, a lot of the later stuff that we were talking about tact and different things last pod, and that now I can use it. Early young David, I was a hard charging bull. I was just bull in a china shop.
Right.
Now I understand, again, everything doesn't need an answer. Everything doesn't require a comment, where before it was like, yo, no, I'm gonna let you know how I feel, and emphatically so. Now it's, I don't have to prove nothing to you.
Yeah, and that comes with age and wisdom and all those different things. And it comes if you did have some folks in your life, to impart some things.
Because there's
a lot of old fools out there.
Yes, if you don't get the wisdom, and this is one dying to the flesh, understanding that I'm not always the smartest person. I don't know everything. So, that was a good thing. Let me pick that up and use that,
right?
And better myself. So
it's an important thing for anyone. Like I always say, even for a lesser degree, you got to have guys.
Yes,
like you got to have a car guy.
Yeah,
you got to have a
electrician.
Yeah, you got to have you just got to have guys. If you're gonna be a man, you need to have guys, because you don't know it all. You can't do it all. And sometimes you don't want to be in a position where you got to take everything to the shop or bring someone in and take advantage, all those different things.
And as much as I love my wife, there's not everything I could bring to my wife.
No,
there's some stuff I need to be able to bring to another man that can say, okay, I understand that, but, and you be able to respect the but enough to go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I never thought about it that way.
Right.
Or, even the smart ones don't say but, they'll say, that's a good idea, but have you thought about this?
However.
Yes. However.
And that's one of TA's great lines or great word. However, and then, he comes
hit you with the uppercut. You're like, oh, that 2-piece was kind of nice. I didn't even feel that.
But you were making a point, though. It is nice when the people who you have around you all say either the same thing in their own way, or whatever they say all seems to connect to give you the one message.
I think I said it was not concrete, but confirmation. The Lord is funny like that. He'll give you confirmation. He'll tell you something, and then some innocent person who has nothing to do, that doesn't know this is what God said,
right,
will come and confirm it. And you'll be like, oh. And I love God, because you didn't have to do that for me. Exactly. I'm like, man, you did that for me? Yep. You gave me confirmation, this person, this person, this person. Oh, man. Okay. I know I'm on the right path.
The other thing I took from it also, and I did discuss this with you, was seeing everybody who moved when I moved. And that gave me, and I talked to Tamara about this, that gave me another, I hesitate to use this word because we're all adults, and I don't want to act as if I'm above anyone. That's not what I'm saying. But it gave me another outlook on that situation to see I have a responsibility. to.
So I told you.
Yeah, I do have a responsibility, because if people are going to move when I move, which I wasn't looking for that to happen, but that is what happened. Now I have to think about that and say, I can't put people in a situation unless it really needs to go down.
Let me save this for an emergency, when it's really an emergency and not just an emotional thing. It has to be, let it be a Chris Rock situation.
Yeah. Oh boy. So sorry for whomever.
Listen, bro.
But you and Connor and Mongo and T, August.
Yes.
Who am I missing? Anybody else who moved? Ant?
I'm sure. Just 99% of the people there, everybody was of the same thought process, and just knowing that you have a solid crew.
Yeah.
Again, as the head, whether you're head, understanding the responsibility to everybody else, to my crew, to my people, to my family. I have a responsibility.
Yes.
To my church, I said, I have a responsibility that when I'm out in the street, that I act accordingly, because it all comes back.
100%.
So
100%.
To the pod.
100%. So I have that response. So I took a lot of lessons from it. My lesson was not to see, all right, this was my plateau, I'm out. My lesson was multiple.
Yes.
And I'm glad that I had you and Tamara and my mentors and others there who I leaned on at that moment to be there, help me get through.
But I give you kudos for leaning on folks.
Oh, thank you.
Because it's one of those things that's hard to do, especially when you feel like your mind is made up on a certain subject or a certain thing. I don't want to hear nothing, because I know my wife was like, you shouldn't be joking with him and telling him jokes. Everybody is not going to be receptive to it. And I was like, I don't care. I'm not going to change who I am. She was like, well, maybe you just, I said, well, I'm going to wait. I'm not going to lead with the joke, but there's going to be a joke in there.
You want to tell me jokes?
She was like, you might not want to be, you're not that funny. I was like, I am quite funny, but I'm not going to lead with the joke. A Superman, Superfly Snooker coming off the stage, but
Yeah. You hit me with it when I was getting my coffee ready in the kitchen. So you hit me with one, which I laughed at.
See, told you, baby, I'm funny.
But yeah, I take what you say as or I take that compliment, and I appreciate it. And you're right, because you have to. As my mother told me years ago, I didn't like to take things from people. Mm-hmm. People want to do things for me, whatever it was.
It's hard.
But she said, when you don't accept your blessing, you're blocking someone else's blessings. And so I try to get better at that for that reason.
Yes.
And I've tried to get better at taking people's compliments and taking people at face value as well for that reason.
I think it was my first pastor out here who taught me that. He was like, you're blocking somebody else's blessing. Because I was like, nah, I can't, I'm not accepting that. They're giving me $2. They need $7.
Right.
And he was like, you're blocking their blessing.
100%.
Suppose their $2 was going to give them 70. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, okay.
Well, for me, one of the things was, and again, we're all human beings, so we all have these shared experiences. It got to a point when I really needed people years ago, people I'd been there for. No one was there for me.
Because they think you're Superman.
And the people who were there for me, it's you only hear from me because now you think you have something to hang over me.
Or we give the Superman role because we never asked for help. Mm-hmm. And people feel like, oh, you're just going to grind through it. Oh, he got that. Right. When I really needed somebody because his kryptonite is choking me. But this is the not reaching out. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about whether it's depression, whether it's anger, whether it's just stuff going on, we have to have somebody to reach out to bounce stuff off of, because the only thing we're hearing is what's in our head. Mm-hmm. And sometimes what's in our head is poison.
Right.
So we need, and because you and I are similar in the fact that for a long time, I'm not asking nobody for nothing. I'll drown.
100%. I because I didn't want you to feel like you had anything to hang over me.
Yes. The life raft, you'll throw that with like the story of the life raft and God sends this and sends that. And you go to heaven, he's like, I sent you 3 things. Why? The same principle and that's growing and understanding that I need people, and not everybody is trying to hang something over my head. Some people are just trying to repay me or just love me the way that I deserve to be loved, or I love them.
Or they're trying to pay it forward because someone did something for them.
Yes.
Or some of them just have the goodness in their heart to want to assist.
And that's hard for us because we know that's
there's far and few between.
Yes. But there are some really good folks out there who genuinely.
There are.
Yes.
But I think the other part is I think you have a better discernment.
Yes.
Of who is who as well.
As you get older.
When those things come
for the
around.
most part. Yeah. Again, when you're in the corner and the rubber hits the road is when you find out, wait a minute. I did this, I did that, and you're nowhere to be found. You don't answer the phone call, and I'm just calling to say hi, and you won't even pick up the phone because you think I might.
100%.
Oh, no, okay. But again, that just closes doors and open doors.
I know we got to move on to the rest of the show, but again, I'm having such a good time with the first topic.
This wasn't even a topic.
It wasn't. But the other part of it too is understanding who that core group is you have around you.
Yes.
Because you can get, especially I'm gonna say entertainment, you can get to the point where you get so comfortable because you work with people a lot, where you feel like you're friends. Mm-hmm. And then when you need them with those people, they're not there. And then you are hurt by it or whatever it was, but you had the wrong.
Yeah, we said it all the time. You had the wrong expectation
of those folks. Yes,
you put them into a category that they 100%. Weren't able to. I say it all the time. We're trying to fill a gallon with a quart person. Mm-hmm. They're only able to do this amount, and that's where they were. And again, seasons, reasons, and lifetimes. These statements and old wives' tales or whatever they call them are there for a reason because it's the reality of life. Somebody might be there for a season. They might be great while you're working with them. And then all of a sudden you don't work there no more. And now they.
I would even take it even a little further and say, I think there's a realization has to come for people at times that, let's say you are in a friend group that's 4 or 5 deep. Mm-hmm. You may be the best friend in that group. Yeah. The rest of them are they're your friends. Yes. They're just not as good a friend as you are to all of them.
They may not be capable of doing that.
They may not be capable. Yeah. It's just not. And you have to either be okay with that or go, live out in the forest.
We had a fellas group, maybe 8 to 10, that is now dwindled down to. You might be in the fellas group, but you're not in the friend group.
I think I was gonna say I think maybe splintered off.
Yes,
you have your different. Yes. Within one group you can have a smaller group. They're closer because they have more activities they enjoy and
the hangout group. The I have a problem group. The life is going on, and then the people whom I'd like to communicate with because we enjoy conversation. Some of those people fill different roles, and it doesn't make them bad. It just means that. I might like to run the streets with you, but I can't have a conversation with you about anything in depth.
Well, that is definitely a real thing, period, in life. Yeah. Because you can have, again, let's going back, a friend group and everybody, and what they say, everybody can't get in the boat. Yeah. For certain things. Yeah, listen. And I don't want to be in everybody's boat. No. Because if you got something that I don't want to be a part of this, why would you even invite me to certain things?
I love our fellas group because they know certain stuff. I'm not inviting David. I ain't gonna bother to call him because they know he ain't coming. And I'm like, good, thank you, appreciate you.
Because they used to be like, David ain't coming.
Yeah, I get that. And I don't feel no type of way because I think I take that as respect in that they all understand, bro, he ain't doing that. Come on, I don't even know why you even bothered to.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever witnessed you take it as disrespect. I do think at a certain time initially, everyone had to learn to see you differently than what you were and what you used to be when you were going through your, transformation.
It's a good word.
Yeah. I mean, would you agree, disagree, or what would you say to that?
I guess so. Yeah. There are certain things that for me, because again, as I understand, as we talked about, the responsibility that I have is bigger than just me.
Right.
So when I realized that in life, and anything else, you realize, oh, I can't do certain things. So I can't be at certain places.
Right.
And because I know me, if I'm in certain places and certain things turn, everybody can, oh, bro, why you take it to that level? Because, well, why did you do that? So,
well, and that's you knowing you.
Yes.
But I'm speaking from the other side is when when you are going through, let's just say you're becoming a born again Christian. We'll use that. When you're making that transformation, and it's not an easy one, and it doesn't happen like a snap of the fingers. As people who knew you beforehand watch you, you got different people who see it different ways. Yes. You got some people that, who does this motherfucker think he's supposed to be?
Yeah.
You got other people who still always want to talk about what you used to do and who you used to be.
And then some people are just proud about where you're becoming, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh man,
Yes.
we can't invite him because that's gonna be bad for him.
Right. But ultimately, if they're friends, all three of those groups have to eventually get to the point of, we know David's not coming.
Yeah. Just respect for that.
Just respect it.
Yeah. Like, nah, again.
So I'm very thankful for my core group.
Yes.
And so you being one of them. So nothing but love for all of those folks who helped me get through.
I do the Elon Musk.
Put your hand down.
I was just waving.